in irreligious practice. Text 40. Adharmat vibhavat Krishna padushyanti kulastriyaha strishu dushta suvarneya jayate varnasankaraha. Translation. When irreligion is prominent in the family, O Krishna, the women of the family become corrupt, and from the degradation of womanhood, O descendant of Vrishni, comes unwanted progeny. Text 41. Sankaro narakayaiva kula jnanam kulasya patanti pitaro yesham lupta pindodaka kriyaha. Translation. When there is increase of unwanted population, a hellish situation is created both for the family and for those who destroy the family tradition. In such corrupt families, there is no offering of oblations of food and water to the ancestors. Text 42. Doshar etai kulagnanam varna sankara karakahi utsadyante jati dharma kula dharmascha sashvataha. Translation. Due to the evil deeds of the destroyers of family tradition, all kinds of community projects and family welfare activities are devastated. Text 43. Utsana kula dharmanam manushyanam janardana narake niyatam nivaso bhavati tyanushruma. Translation. O Krishna, maintainer of the people, I have heard by disciplic succession that those who destroy family traditions dwell always in hell. Text 44. Aho batamahat papam kartum yasitavayam yadraja sukalobhena antum swajjanam udyataha. Translation. Alas, how strange it is that we are preparing to commit greatly sinful acts to enjoy royal happiness. Pardon me. Text 45. Darimam apratikaram ashastram shastrapanayah dhartarashtrarane hanyus tanmekshe matarang bhavet. Translation. I would consider it better for the unarmed and unresisting them. Text 46. Sanjaya uvacha evam uktvarjuna samkhe ratopasta upavishat visrijya sasharang chapang shoka sambignamanasah. Translation. Sanjaya said, Arjuna, having thus spoken on the battlefield, cast aside his bow and arrows and sat down on the chariot, his mind overwhelmed with grief. So text 36. Translation. Sin will overcome us if we slay such aggressors. Therefore it is not proper for us to kill the sons of Dhritarashtra and our friends. What should we gain, O Krishna, husband of the goddess of fortune, and how could we be happy by killing our own kinsmen? Purport. According to Vedic injunctions, there are 6 kinds of aggressors. 1. A poison giver. 2. One who sets fire to the house. 3. One who attacks with deadly weapons. 4. One who plunders riches. 5. One who occupies another's land. And 6. One who kidnaps a wife. Such aggressors are at once to be killed, and no sin is incurred by killing such aggressors. Such killing of aggressors is quite befitting for any I just want, is it good? Okay. Quite befitting for any ordinary man. But Arjuna was not an ordinary person. He was saintly by character, and therefore he wanted to deal with them in saintliness. This kind of saintliness, however, is not for a Kshatriya. Although a responsible man in the administration of a state is required to be saintly, he should not be cowardly. For example, Lord Rama was so saintly that people were anxious to live in his kingdom, Ram Rajya. But Lord Rama never showed any cowardice. Ravana was an aggressor against Rama because he kidnapped Rama's wife, Sita. But Lord Rama gave him sufficient lessons, unparalleled in the history of the world. In Arjuna's case, however, one should consider the special type of aggressors, namely his own grandfather, own teacher, friends, sons, grandsons, etc. Because of them, Arjuna thought that he should not take the severe steps necessary against ordinary aggressors. Besides that, saintly persons are advised to forgive. Such injunctions for saintly persons are more important than any political emergency. Arjuna considered that rather than kill his own kinsmen for political reasons, it would be better to forgive them on grounds of religion and saintly behavior. He did not therefore consider such killing profitable simply for the matter of temporary bodily happiness. After all, kingdoms and pleasures derived therefrom are not permanent. So why should he risk his life and eternal salvation by killing his own kinsmen? Arjuna's addressing of Krishna as Madhava, or the husband of the goddess of fortune, is also significant in this connection. He wanted to point out to Krishna that, as husband of the goddess of fortune, he should not have to induce Arjuna to take up a matter which would ultimately bring about misfortune. Krishna, however, never brings misfortune to anyone, to say nothing of his devotees. Did you have anything, Maharaj?
Yes. What may be considered saintly for one person, that's very nice. But, as pointed out here, for a person whose duty is to give protection and to uphold the laws and the wrongdoers, if he becomes so-called saintly, it's not appreciated. For example, if in court, if someone brings a case against the police department, says that they were very lenient with these gang of culprits, they did so many harmful things. So the judge will say, why did you do that? They say, well, we thought we wanted to be saintly, we wanted to be kind to them. But that's not saintliness. That's not doing their duty. Their saintliness was to do their duty. And in that case, it was to uphold the law and to punish the wrongdoers. So we always have to remember what one's position is. For a Brahmana, or like Jesus is a saintly person, turn the other cheek is suitable. But Krishna never told Arjuna to turn the other cheek. So, and that doesn't mean that Krishna is inducing Arjuna to do something against religion or against saintly purposes. He wants him to do the right thing, but that is the right thing for him. So different persons have different duties. We should not imitate someone else's duty. For example, a surgeon, he cuts. That's he makes his living by cutting people's bodies open. So one who's not trained, if he imitates that by cutting people, then it creates a disturbance in society.
Jai. Did you have something, Parmeshwar Prabhu? Yes, Prabhu. Would you be able to use one mic?
I don't want this, please let me know if this is too mundane, but we see in the time of King Vena, when he was ruling, that the saintly brahmanas cursed him to die. So, we have an incredible disturbance going on the planet, with Russia attacking Ukraine. And there's a lot of severe evil going on behalf of, at least that's what the news shows. And do the brahmanas have any duty in this regard, other than passing out more literature and chanting Hare Krishna? Like the saintly kings back in the day cursed Vena to die. And that would solve a lot of problems. And if they didn't, maybe they didn't do their duty. So I don't know, it's just a thought. I want to make sure I do my duty properly. Yes, Mother.
Yes. Lord Chaitanya addressed that matter, the case of Jagai and Madai. He said Jagai and Madai are very sinful personalities. They attack the devotees. And so they deserve some kind of severe punishment. But Nityananda Prabhu, who's the guru, he said, no, in this age, if you kill the wrong guru, everyone will be killed. Everybody will be finished. So in this age, the Lord doesn't incarnate to use weapons as we know them, but rather his weapons are his kartals and mridanga, and the devotees of the Lord become part of the weapons. So the chanting of the holy name, that is recommended for this age. There's no injunction for killing the bodies. Bodies are already dead, but we can transform them. We have to consider what we were. We were also going along with the flow before we came in contact with Krishna consciousness. So if it's possible for us, it's possible for other persons. They can get transformed by the chanting, by the prasadam, by the transcendental knowledge, by the association of devotees. So that's the process for this age. Sankirtan Yoga. Yajai Sankirtan Praya Yajantihi Sumedha Saha. It's a verse from Srimad Bhagavatam. Krishna Varnam Trisha Krishnam Sangopangascha Parshadam Yagyai Sankirtan Praya Yajantihi Sumedha Saha. Those who have better intelligence, Sumedha Saha, means good brain, they will join the Sankirtan movement. So join the Sankirtan movement, chant loudly, distribute the glories of the Lord, and that will bring about a change. That will bring about the good government that we're looking for. Chanting. That's the process for this age. Kill the demoniac mentality rather than the bodies. If the demoniac mentality is killed, then they're no longer demons anymore. They're not evil. They become saintly, become devotees, and they go back to Godhead and they don't create any more disturbances ever. If you just kill the body, and they take their next birth again in another similar circumstance in this lifetime, because they have the same desires, they haven't changed their hearts. So if we can change their hearts, we can't do it necessarily by ourselves, but the holy name is very powerful. And it works. How many people now? Prabhupada came in 1965 to the West, alone, chanting Hare Krishna. Now so many thousands and millions of people are chanting Hare Krishna with great relish. So there's something to it. Lord Chaitanya's prediction that this will spread to every town and village in the world is coming true. Many people knew about this prediction of Lord Chaitanya in India, but they didn't know it was possible to really do it. And Prabhupada came and started the Sankirtan movement in the West, and it's really doing it. If you look at pictures of the summer camps, the camps they have in Ukraine and Russia, hundreds of thousands of devotees participating. If you take all of them put together. Many, many devotees. So that's a good sign. There are people around the world are ready to take to it. It doesn't matter what culture they're from, whether they're from a so-called atheistic country or culture or whatever, backward or everybody likes the chanting. Everybody likes this kirtan.
Okay, so let's read another text. Text 37 and 38. Translation. O Janardana, although these men, overtaken by greed, see no fault in killing one's family or quarreling with friends, why should we, with knowledge of the sin, engage in these acts? Purport. A Kshatriya is not supposed to refuse to battle or gamble when he is so invited by some rival party. Under such obligation, Arjuna could not refuse to fight because he was challenged by the party of Duryodhana. In this connection, Arjuna considered that the other party might be blind to the effects of such a challenge. Arjuna, however, could see the evil consequences and could not accept the challenge. Obligation is actually binding when the effect is good. But when the effect is otherwise, then no one can be bound. Considering all these pros and cons, Arjuna decided not to fight. So, Arjuna is thinking that maybe Duryodhana could not actually see that they were going to be destroyed if they fought the battle. So Arjuna is kind of thinking on their behalf in one sense. So let's read another text, text 39. With the destruction of dynasty, the eternal family tradition is vanquished. And thus the rest of the family becomes involved in irreligious practice. Purport. In the system of the Varnashrama institution, there are many principles of religious traditions to help members of the family grow properly and attain spiritual values. The elder members are responsible for such purifying processes in the family beginning from birth to death. But on the death of the elder members, such family traditions of purification may stop, and the remaining younger family members may develop irreligious habits and thereby lose their chance for spiritual salvation. Therefore, for no purpose should the elder members of the family be slain. So we can see actually this is written in context of the Vedic society, like, you know, where religious traditions, Prabhupada mentions, will help the family grow properly and attain spiritual values. So, the society in the Vedic times, the Vedic society is based on attaining liberation, or even beyond that, attaining devotional service and practicing devotional service. And the family is kind of a unit of that society, which is meant to support those principles on the, you know, the grassroots level. And nowadays, our elders don't have any valuable knowledge in one sense, because we've lost our touch with that goal of society. So we can see nowadays that, and this is spoken about too in the Shastras, that when, you know, the man of the family becomes old, then we just get rid of him, becomes a burden. He's just a botheration, actually, because he can't give any money anymore. So, but this is all the materialistic way of thinking, whereas when we hear from the Shastras and from this Vedic culture, then we can understand that when the society is guided properly towards the attainment of devotional service, then the elders, they're the most spiritually advanced, naturally. I mean, they have practiced in devotional service, and they have deep realizations, and they're able to share the philosophy and the guidance from the Shastra, but it has a lot of impact. So these persons are not meant to be, you know, just thrown away. So Arjuna's saying that when we have this war, the elders are going to be, you know, vanquished, and then irreligious practice will come in. So actually in this Krishna consciousness movement, we also see, and we very much value the association of senior devotees, and we try our best to give all due respect and hear submissively from the senior devotees who have much richer realization and have spent their time and energy in trying to please Krishna and Guru. So we do always try to respect seniors, and so and we can read another text 40. When irreligion is prominent in the family, O Krishna, the women of the family become corrupt, and from the degradation of womanhood, O descendant of Vrishni, comes unwanted progeny. Purport: good population in human society is the basic principle for peace, prosperity, and spiritual progress in life. The Varnashram religion's principles were so designed that the good population would prevail in society for the general spiritual progress of state and community. Such population depends on the chastity and faithfulness of its womanhood. As children are very prone to be misled, women are similarly very prone to degradation. Therefore, both children and women require protection by the elder members of the family. By being engaged in various religious practices, women will not be misled into adultery. According to Chanakya Pandit, women are generally not very intelligent and therefore not trustworthy. So, the different family traditions of religious activities should always engage them, and thus their chastity and devotion will give birth to a good population eligible for participating in the Varnashram system. On the failure of such Varnashram dharma, naturally the women become free to act and mix with men, and thus adultery is indulged in at the risk of unwanted population. Irresponsible men also provoke adultery in society, and thus unwanted children flood the human race at the risk of war and pestilence. Text 41. When there is increase of unwanted population, a hellish situation is created both for the family and for those who destroy the family tradition. In such corrupt families, there is no offering of oblations of food and water to the ancestors. Purport. According to the rules and regulations of fruitive activities, there is a need to offer periodical food and water to the forefathers of the family. This offering is performed by worship of Vishnu, because eating the remnants of food offered to Vishnu can deliver one from all kinds of sinful actions. Sometimes the forefathers may be suffering from various types of sinful reactions, and sometimes some of them cannot even acquire a gross material body, and are forced to remain in subtle bodies as ghosts. Thus, when remnants of prasadam food are offered to forefathers by descendants, the forefathers are released from ghostly or other kinds of miserable life. Such help rendered to forefathers is a family tradition, and those who are not in devotional service are required to perform such rituals. One who is engaged in the devotional life is not required to perform such actions. Simply by performing devotional service, one can deliver hundreds and thousands of forefathers from all kinds of misery. It is stated in the Bhagavatam, Devarshi bhutapta nrinam pritrinam naking karo nayam rini charajan sarvatmanaya sharanam sharanyam gato mukundam parihritya kartam. Quote, anyone who has taken shelter of the lotus feet of Mukunda, the giver of liberation, giving up all kinds of obligation, and has taken to the path in all seriousness, owes neither duties nor obligations to the demigods, sages, general living entities, family members, humankind, or forefathers. End quote. Bhagavatam 11.5.41. Such obligations are automatically fulfilled by performance of devotional service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So these different obligations where there's obligations to the forefathers and to the sages, as is mentioned here. The sages have passed down knowledge. The forefathers have given us the body, which is required to cross the ocean of nescience. We owe to our family members for feeding this body and giving us training. We owe to the general living entities, which generally make up our foodstuffs, and to humankind in general for, technology and different systems that we take advantage of, like the roads and safety protocols and all these things that are there So these duties are checked, or these duties are met by flipping the one switch of serving Krishna. So there's a prayer, I think it's by Madhavendra Puri, where he says that he's sorry that he won't be able to, offer oblations to the demigods and things like that, that he's satisfied just sitting down in any place and chanting Hare Krishna and worshiping the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So we're learning this trick to take shelter of the feet of Mukunda, the giver of liberation. So it's said that one has to have some son to perform the rituals to deliver one from his sinful activities after he leaves from this world. There's the Pinda, I think it's called, where you offer this prasadam to the forefathers, which will deliver them. So many kings are desirous in the Vedic, system to have a son, to have some heir, which will be qualified to perform the religious duties. What's so nice is that if anybody in the line or in the whole dynasty becomes a devotee, and specifically a pure devotee of Krishna, then automatically so many persons are liberated. So many persons in that line are delivered. And so this is the best thing we can do, is somehow or other grab all the mercy we can grab and become a pure devotee of Lord Krishna, and we will give benefit to our forefathers and all living entities. This is the best thing for us to do for everyone. If we actually become qualified to chant the holy name without offense, we chant the pure holy name, then we'll have the potency to deliver the whole world and the whole universe. Of course, we know that Prabhupada is doing that, so we can just aspire to become his assistants. And if it's arranged that we have some role to play in that, then we'll be used in that mission. That's our desire, is to just be a servant of the servant of the servant. Basically, whenever we forget that principle, then things get confusing. That's my realization, that what can I do for Prabhupada? What can I do? Well, I've been told how to serve Prabhupada, but somebody had to explain it, and somebody had to show me. So then, like that, we're getting our opportunity to be assistant to Srila Prabhupada through this ISKCON movement, and we're trying to take advantage of it by plugging in, and then we can get the mercy, and we can become purified from all of our impurities and selfish desires, and we can become qualified to be residents of the spiritual world. So, I like this point about the ghosts, that sometimes when we commit sinful activities, then due to those karma, then we actually have to receive a body which is not on the gross platform, which means that we can't satisfy our bodily desires for sense gratification. And then these living entities which are in that position, they oftentimes haunt persons or try to take control of their bodies and to try to satisfy their desires for sense gratification through the body of another living entity. So we can see here that actually this world is very dangerous, and nobody's doing this process, offering prasadam to the forefathers, or hardly, you can say. And without knowledge of this Vedic culture, then we're all suffering so much because we don't know that whenever we eat, we're actually incurring sin. Whenever we walk, we're killing creatures, and whenever we boil water, we're killing creatures. And we have to actually receive the karmic reaction for those activities. Even just to maintain this body, we have to do that sin. Along with that is given these processes, but the real prayashchitta, or the real atonement for all this sin that we're forced to incur in this material world, is devotional service, which is discussed in the Nectar of Devotion, that the real prayashchitta is serving the Lord, and that by performing devotional service, all the sinful reactions are immediately burned up, just like all the snakes on the forest floor are immediately, harassed when there's a forest fire. So we're very fortunate that the pure devotee has come to engage us in devotional service. Srila Prabhupada has come, and he's also given this ISKCON movement where we can plug into that devotional service, and we can actually become free from all these sinful reactions which we're forced to incur in this material world. Okay, devotees, thank you for tolerating me. Ramesh Prabhu, would you like to share anything else? KB Prabhu? Devotees? Okay, so let's read another text. Text 42. Due to the evil deeds of the destroyers of family tradition, all kinds of community projects and family welfare activities are devastated. Purport. The four orders of human society combined with family welfare activities, as they are set forth by the institution of the Sanatan Dharma or Varnashram Dharma, are designed to enable the human being to attain his ultimate salvation. Therefore, the breaking of the Sanatan Dharma tradition by irresponsible leaders of society brings about chaos in that society, and consequently people forget the aim of life, Vishnu. Such leaders are called blind, and persons who follow such leaders are sure to be led into chaos. So the blind are leading the blind. We've forgotten the aim of society. And our leaders are irresponsible because they're not teaching that. We don't have a Brahminical class of men, which is meant to inform the leaders and keep them responsible in guiding the society towards the religious way of life, ultimately towards attaining Lord Vishnu or Krishna. So the leaders are more or less just interested in sense gratification, and they're quarreling on the political platforms, arguing on which way to get better sense gratification. Sense gratification, we should get it like this. And another group says, no, we should get it like this. So there's a fight. Text 43. O Krishna, maintainer of the people, I have heard by disciplic succession that those who destroy family traditions dwell always in hell. Purport. Arjuna bases his argument not on his own personal experience, but on what he has heard from the authorities. That is the way of receiving real knowledge. One cannot reach the point of factual knowledge without being helped by the right person who is already established in that knowledge. There is a system in the Varnashram institution by which one has to undergo the process of ablution before death for his sinful activities. One who is always engaged in sinful activities must utilize the process of ablution called the prayashchitta. Without doing so, one is surely will be transferred to hellish planets to undergo miserable lives as the result of sinful activities. I really like this first sentence here, or this first 2-3 sentences. Arjuna bases his argument not on his own personal experience, but on what he has heard from the authorities. That is the way of receiving real knowledge. One cannot reach the real point of factual knowledge without being helped by the right person who is already established in that knowledge. So this is interesting because we're so much convinced that our point of view is the best. But sometimes we're not able to see everything which there is to consider. So it makes it difficult because we may feel very strongly about certain things and there may be disagreements on how to act or how to live, or even how to serve Krishna. But when we receive help, or we willingly accept help from the right person who is established in knowledge, then we can come to the real point of factual knowledge. So this is the process of surrender, is to accept authorities and to make progress in devotional service by, more or less accepting that whatever I feel or whatever I see or whatever I experience, it may not be complete. So this is not easy, but we try, and Arjuna shows this example that he's hearing from disciplic succession. Knowledge is being passed down in that way. And it's very nice because in ISKCON we have so many bona fide authorities on the devotional science. As far as the practical instructions go, it's always very helpful to receive practical instructions from one source on how to execute our devotional service. That's very helpful for the mind, and it's helpful for organization too, because then we know which order we'll follow, like that. We should always be willing to discuss, but that receiving in disciplic succession, that's the main principle, and Arjuna shows that. Okay, devotees, thank you so much for tolerating me. Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri